Hey guys, this is Professor Pew Pew, and in today's video, well, this one's not going to be a guide video. This is going to be more of a experience sharing kind of video. So on Monday, we had the new weapon balancing patch drop, and there were a few notable changes in this patch, but the biggest one we gotta say is the Brazilian cape change. So in case you didn't know, the Brazilian cape activates when you use a helmet skill, and when you use your helmet, it gives you a shield that shields you for about 750 damage when you're at 7.3, which is what I'm wearing in this video. And at 8.3, it will probably be like over 800. So it's a pretty chunky shield, right? And it shields you for 3 seconds. After they buffed it, it now also gives you purge immunity while this shield is on you. So when you hit your helmet, basically you can't be purged for 3 seconds unless they burst through your 800 damage shield and then hit a purge on you. Otherwise, you just can't be purged for 3 seconds. So I've been trying to figure out a good way to utilize this new cape buff, and I gotta say, I haven't really found anything that's perfect. Most of the things that I've tried are kind of lackluster, actually. Some of them kind of worked, and that's what I'm here to share with you guys. And by the way, like if you found a better way to use this cape, please let me know in the comments. I've I feel like I've tried all the things that made sense, and it's a lot to give up a purge in your helmet for something else. Basically, my train of thought about this is the helmets that really make sense for the Brazilian cape will be either a helmet that gives you a really like important buff that you don't want to get purged. Let's say, for example, a hunter hood, right? So if you hit hunter hood and then the hunter hood can get purged, that's pretty cool. But at the same time, hunter hood is only 4 seconds, so it's not like it's that much value. Like most of the times when people hit hunter hood, the other guy just waits it out. They don't purge it. They usually save their purge for something bigger, something that they can't just wait out. So for example, a merc jacket, soldier armor, infernal shield, boots, something like that, or Stalker jacket. That's a big one currently, right? And of course, alien jacket. So something like that. So the only other way to use these capes then is to use your helmet to trigger the cape to protect a big buff somewhere else, probably a big buff on your chest piece. So if you're gonna do that though, you have to commit your helmet and your cape cooldown just to protect the buff on your chest piece. So the chest piece will have to be something really important, something that can really swing a fight, right? So I think merc jacket is the first thing I thought of. As for the helmet, the only two helmets that I can think of that would make sense for this are Stalker hood and Spectre hood. So Stalker hood has a really short cooldown, and it's probably okay to just use it just to proc the cape because it'll be back when you need it. Only a 15-second cooldown. And the other one is Spectre hood, and Spectre hood is what I ended up going with. Spectre hood just makes a lot of sense to use with merc jacket, since the way we use that helmet anyways is just you activate your jacket and then you activate your helmet right away to refresh it, right? So that way it's not like you actually like burned your helmet just to proc the cape, since the helmet just refreshes the chest cooldown and you get that back anyways, right? So you still have two big actives. And if you're gonna be using it with merc jacket, double merc jacket is pretty strong. It's a pretty old gimmick for 1v1s. So Spectre hood is what I went with for all of these clips, and I think for like all the weapons that I've tried, the one that I think is like the strongest in a fight is the Daybreaker. I've tried Daybreaker, Double Blade Staff, and the Bloodletters. And One Hand Daggers. Yeah, One Hand Dagger Merc Jacket. But anyways, I think the strongest one was the Daybreaker because the Daybreaker still has a purge on it. With the other choices, if you go with double merc, then you lose the purge, right? And the purge is kind of a nice thing to have. But with Daybreaker, you get to keep that purge. But the thing with the Daybreaker though is I didn't like it at all for the Mist because I thought it was really slow. The mobility on it is very limited, and in the Mist, where you get ratted all the time, if you get third partied and you don't have the mobility to run, then you're pretty much dead. Like we don't even have an undead cape in this build because we're trying to use the double merc gimmick, right? So if we get ratted on this build, we're basically just dead. So I ended up getting ratted and dying, and then switching off to Bloodletters after this. I think for all the weapons that I've tried with double merc jacket, Bloodletter was probably the one with the most potential. Because it had good dismount, it can handle itself against ratting. If you get third partied, you can just peace out. And the damage on Bloodletter is not the best, but it's probably still better than double bladed staff. You do have the kill pressure from the E. Death Givers will probably be even better with this build, but like, I mean, Death Givers are already good, man. Like, do I really have to try it? I guess I'm kind of just racist against meta builds, and I really didn't want to play Death Givers. So for the Dagger Tree, I tried Bloodletters, and I ended up just dying to this Chill Hell, and then I tilted. I think I actually misplayed there too. I tried to get out of his E with my E, but I ended up taking the damage anyways, and then I was just dead after that. So I tilted after that, and I just went back to farming people with a carving sword. But before we go to the carving though, the the Dagger Tree did get a buff on their Chain Slash W, and Chain Slash does a lot more damage now than before, especially to the first target. So that's something to think about when you're in, like, say, Abbey or Corrupted, for example, or if you're fighting against something that doesn't have a whole lot of mobility and you don't need a Shadow Edge to chase them. So yeah, anyways, that's just something to think about. And moving on to carvings, people were asking me during my stream whether if the carving nerf was really significant, and honestly, it's not. Like, even on paper, it's just like a small nerf to the amount of pierce, the amount of armor pierce they have, and in practice, theoretically, there's less follow-up damage if you hit a 3-stack E, but if you're using the E for like a gap close, right, so like 1-stack or even 0-stack, then you don't notice any damage difference at all. And even for the 3-stack E's, like where it really matters, you can still execute people in Undead Cape with a 3-stack E. So I guess it just doesn't even matter that it got nerfed. It theoretically it does less damage, but it's whatever. Like, it's not a big nerf at all. It's still a good weapon, and it's still a noob farmer. So after I farmed a bunch of noobs with the carving sword, I went back to experimenting again, and this time we're doing instead of double merc jacket, I went to double stalker jacket, and the first thing I tried was Hand of Justice, because the Hand of Justice E is a lot of damage, and I thought I would be able to just one combo people with 2 stalker jackets and a Hand of Justice E. But I ended up just dying. I ended up just dying to this Ava Glove really quick, and I swapped off of the Hodge. I tried the double bladed staff and the one-handed mace as well, and one-handed mace I didn't really like because it just felt like a slow weapon, and it was a lot of damage. Like, I was able to one combo people with it, but if I miss the one combo, I just can't chase them down. And with double bladed staff, you have a lot more mobility, like because there's less animations on. There's less like cast time animations and stuff, so you have a lot more mobility, and the chase is a bit better, which I think is pretty important for this, because no purge on the helmet, can't purge boots, so I think double bladed staff was better, at least the way I played it. And then after testing double stalker jacket, like overall, I think double stalker jacket is not worth it. I think having a purge on the helmet is just better. But after testing double stalker jacket and feeling like it's just kind of meh, I went back to double Merc Jacket, and this time I tried it with a dual sword. And the dual sword's damage is a lot higher than the other two weapons that I've tried it with. And it also had pretty good synergy with the Merc Jacket, because you can proc them all really quickly with your fast auto attacks and your Q stacks. Um, so I think it was decent, at least for like face-to-face fighting. Like you can face tank a lot of stuff just with your two Merc Jackets. But it's really painful trying to chase down more mobility, higher mobility builds. Like this hammer, for example, there's really no way I can kill him because he just has more mobility and I can't even purchase boosts. And it's not like this is in the open mist where I can stack on Whopperdingers. It's in the Abbey, I can't even get free stacks, right? So I ended up having to just walk away from this one because if we draw the fight out, eventually the higher mobility build is gonna win by baiting out my cooldowns, right? Or if the fight goes on forever and the dungeon just closes on us, then I end up drinking a bunch of potions and not really getting anything out of it. So that's all the clips I got for now. This was my entire Monday. It was like 13 hours of me trying to make this damn cape work. And it was about 90 mil of silver invested. Not all of it was lost. I did make back about 30 mil, and also a lot of the items that I bought for the experiments are still in my bank. I just didn't like them, so I, stashed them. So it's not like I lost everything, but it was still a pretty expensive investment. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was worth it. And if you did like it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember to check me out on Twitch. And of course, if you did any experimenting on your own, let me know about it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.